Now that the dress has been completed, we are going to assign a fabric and adjust the color, shine, and transparency of its surface. You can of course use plain solid colors to render the garments, but for a more realistic rendering and representation, we can use image files with a specific texture or pattern. There are two ways we can insert these texture images. The first is to open up the Windows folder containing the image you want to use, and then dragging it onto the 3D pattern piece in the 3D avatar window, or a 2D pattern piece in the 2D pattern window. If you want to use the same image for more than one pattern, select all the pattern pieces in any of the windows and then click and drag the image from the Windows folder. The second method is to open up the image directly through Clo3D. Select all the pattern pieces you want to assign a texture to, and then go to the Property Editor, and under Surface Properties, find the Surface Texture tab. Select it, and then click on the little button with the ellipsis on the right side of it to locate and load the image of your choice. To edit the loaded texture images, we use the Edit Texture tool located in the 2D Pattern toolbar. You can click and drag the image around freely within the perimeter of the pattern. When you click the pattern, a texture editing gizmo appears. It is made up of a circle and a cross, and at the end of each cross is a small red dot, and on the diagonal, larger red dots. These dots control the scale of the loaded image. The dots on the diagonal will scale the image in proportion, and the smaller dots allow you to scale it along a single axis. If you hover the mouse over the circle where there are no dots, the cursor switches to a rotating icon. When it does, you can click and drag to rotate the image. You can also be a bit more precise with these manipulators by entering specific values. Click on the image and then go to the Property Editor. Under the Texture Transformation tab, you can begin to rotate and size the image using specific values. All measurements under this menu is in millimeters. Now let's try overlaying a print on top of the texture we just adjusted. Select the Create Print Overlay tool from the 2D Pattern toolbar and locate the print image you want to load. A little P for print follows your mouse cursor. Select the pattern you want to add the print to, and as you do, a pop-up window will appear and let you enter in the width and height of the print. Hit OK to insert the print. One thing to keep in mind is that the print overlay is recognized as another fabric layer in Clo3D, so to see the print on the 3D garment, we have to sync it over to the 3D environment. Now that we have our print in place, let's try editing it. There are two tools we use to edit prints. The first one is the Edit Pattern tool, and we use it to move the print around the pattern or to control its repeat. Similar to internal pattern shapes, the print is considered an internal or secondary element within the overall fabric. So to select it, we need to double-click the pattern. Now we can drag to adjust the placement of the print, and then use the scaling points around the box to begin to multiply the print in any direction by extending its boundaries. The second tool we can use to edit prints is the Edit Texture tool, and this will allow us to control the print itself. And just like the texture, we can use the gizmo to rotate or scale the print. We can also enter any of these measurements in the Property Editor window. To change the print, open up the Windows Folder Explorer and click and drag the new print onto the existing print. As you can see, we can use an image file that supports transparency, such as a PNG file, and you can let the base fabric show through. To delete the print, we need to select it using the Edit Pattern tool, and then use the Delete key on the keyboard. This is because, as mentioned before, the prints are considered a secondary element within the pattern piece. For textures, we select the pattern, and then right-click to activate the pop-up menu, to then select the Delete Texture tab. Next, let's take a look at colors and shine controls. If you look under the Surface Properties tab of the Property Editor window, you will see that there are 4 different colors we can control. The first one is the ambient color. Click on the tab once, and then the little ellipsis icon on its right side. If you click and drag the mouse along the color chips, you can see that the overall color of the 3D garment changes, not drastically, but slightly according to the colors. The ambient color measures not the overall color of the garment, but the color of the light around the garment. Therefore, the color you select is faintly overlaid on the garment. The diffuse color is the overall color of the garment. If you click on the ellipsis icon on its right and open up the pop-up window, you can see that the actual color of the garment changes according to the color you select. Beneath the diffuse color is the specular color option, and this controls the shine of the fabric. If we access the pop-up window and change the color to a brighter gray, and thus up the contrast of the entire fabric, the garment becomes shinier. This works in conjunction with the shininess control bar directly beneath it. As you move the scroll bar towards the right side and increase its level, the garment becomes shinier and shinier, like an enamel or metal. If you move it towards the left, the shine is distributed much more evenly across the entire surface. With these 2 controllers, we are able to render a variety of different fabrics that shine. The emission color represents the color or intensity of light that is emitted from the fabric itself. So if we go into the pop-up window and change the level of whiteness, the garment begins to glow. This option is available, but is rarely used for rendering most fabrics. And last but not least, we can use the opacity tab to control the transparency of the fabric.